Long Island medium Theresa Caputo's daughter, Victoria Caputo, and son Larry Caputo Jr. spit in her father Larry Caputo's face because they don't want to introduce Larry as the father. Wants to stay with his mother, Theresa Caputo, and they say I am happy with my mother. The Caputo family's ongoing turmoil took another dramatic turn when Victoria Caputo and Larry Caputo Jr. publicly disowned their father, Larry Caputo, in an emotionally charged confrontation. The two siblings, who have long been vocal about their loyalty to their mother, Theresa Caputo, shocked onlookers when they spat in their father's face, making it clear that they no longer wished to be associated with him. Larry Caputo Sr., once the beloved patriarch of the family, has found himself increasingly isolated in recent years. His controversial choices, failed relationships, and legal troubles have driven a wedge between him and his children. While he once hoped to repair the fractured bonds, Victoria and Larry Jr. made their stance painfully clear: they want nothing to do with him. Sources close to the family reveal that the tipping point came when Larry Sr. tried to reconnect with his children at a family event. He reportedly insisted on being recognized as their father, but both Victoria and Larry Jr. refused. Frustrated and emotional, the siblings lashed out in an explosive moment of anger, yelling, "We are happy with Mom. You are no longer our father." The root of this estrangement seems to be Larry Sr.'s history of betrayal and abandonment. Over the years, he has been accused of infidelity, neglecting his family, and even being involved in legal disputes with Theresa over their old home. His children, who once adored him, now see him as someone who only brings pain and disappointment. Victoria, who recently went through her own struggles with marriage and motherhood, reportedly sees her mother as her rock and support system. On the other hand, Larry Jr., who has faced financial troubles and public scandals, has relied heavily on Theresa's guidance. With their mother standing by their side through thick and thin, they have decided that Larry Sr. no longer deserves a place in their lives. Theresa Caputo, who has had her own share of public feuds with her ex-husband, has remained relatively silent on the matter. However, close sources say she is secretly relieved that her children have chosen to stand by her. Over the years, she has struggled to keep the family together, but with Larry Sr.'s repeated failures, she is now focused on her own happiness and future. This latest incident leaves Larry Caputo Sr. at rock bottom. Already battling health issues and estranged from his children, he now faces the painful reality that his family has completely turned their backs on him. Whether he will try to make amends or accept his fate remains to be seen. For now, Victoria and Larry Jr. stand firm. They are done with their father and are choosing to move forward with their mother, Theresa Caputo, by their side. However, one of the most emotional and heartwarming moments in her career involved two grieving mothers who had lost their children under tragic circumstances. Maria and Lisa were two mothers who had never met before but shared a deep pain: the loss of their beloved children. Maria's son Jake had passed away in a car accident at the age of 18, while Lisa's daughter, Emily, had succumbed to a long battle with cancer. Both women had spent years wondering if their children were at peace, carrying the weight of their loss every single day. When they attended a group reading with Theresa Caputo, they had no idea that their lives were about to change forever. As Theresa began her reading, she felt a strong presence of two young spirits who wanted to communicate. She turned to Maria and said, "Your son is here. He's showing me a car, and I feel a sudden impact. Did he pass in an accident?" Tears welled up in Maria's eyes as she nodded. Theresa continued, "He wants you to know it wasn't your fault. He says he sees you looking at his pictures and talking to him every night. He's listening, and he loves you." At that moment, Lisa gasped as Theresa turned to her. "Your daughter, Emily, is also here. She's showing me a hospital bed, but she's laughing. She's saying she doesn't want you to remember her that way. She says, 'Tell Mom I'm healthy now. I'm running, and I have so much energy.'" Lisa broke down, covering her face with her hands. Emily had always dreamed of being a dancer, but her illness had taken that away from her. The thought of her daughter dancing in the afterlife brought immense relief to her aching heart. Then something unexpected happened. Theresa smiled and said, "This is amazing. Your children knew each other in the afterlife. They met here today because they wanted you both to find comfort in each other." Maria and Lisa turned to each other in shock. They had never crossed paths in life, yet their children had found a connection beyond this world. Theresa relayed one final message. They want you to know they are okay. They want you to lean on each other, to share your pain and your joy. They don't want you to grieve alone. That day, two grieving mothers became friends, bonded not only by loss, but by the love and messages of their children. Through Theresa Caputo's gift, they found a new path forward, one filled with understanding, support, and the comforting knowledge that their children's spirits were still with them. However, it was a routine evening at a well-known dance studio in New York, where a group of professional dancers was rehearsing for an upcoming performance. The energy in the room was electric, feet tapping, bodies twirling, and music filling the space. But little did they know, their practice session was about to take a spiritual turn. Theresa Caputo, the famous Long Island medium, had been invited to the studio by one of the dancers who was an ardent believer in her abilities. She arrived with her signature big hair, dazzling nails, and an aura of confidence. Though many of the dancers were skeptical, curiosity filled the room. As Theresa stood in the middle of the studio, she suddenly paused and gasped. "Oh boy, I'm feeling a strong presence here," she exclaimed. The dancers exchanged glances, unsure whether to believe what was happening. Theresa then turned to a young woman named Julia, a ballet dancer known for her graceful movements. "Sweetheart, there's a male spirit here for you. He says he's been watching you dance since you were a little girl. Do you have a brother who has passed?" Theresa asked gently. Julia's face turned pale, and tears welled up in her eyes. "My brother, Alex, he passed away in a car accident 3 years ago. He always supported my dancing," she whispered. Theresa smiled warmly. "He says he's always with you. Every time you dance, he's right there beside you. And he wants you to stop doubting yourself. He sees you hesitating in your moves. He says you have to go all in because he never got the chance to." Julia covered her mouth in shock. She had been struggling with self-doubt and fear of failure, but hearing this message from her brother's spirit gave her renewed confidence. The entire studio fell silent as emotions ran high. But Theresa wasn't done yet. She turned to a male dancer named Miguel. "There's an older woman here for you, your grandmother, I believe. She says you used to dance in her living room as a kid, and she would cheer you on." Miguel's eyes widened. "That's true. My abuela used to make me dance for her after dinner." "Well, she's still watching, and she wants you to know she's proud of you," Theresa assured him. One by one, Theresa connected spirits with their loved ones, turning what was supposed to be an ordinary rehearsal into a deeply emotional and unforgettable night. Some left the studio in tears, others in awe, and all with a sense of comfort they never expected. As she exited, Theresa smiled and said, "Remember, they're always with you. And when you dance, you're never alone." The dancers, forever changed by this experience, took the stage the next week with renewed passion, knowing that, beyond the audience, their loved ones in spirit were watching, cheering, and dancing along with them. However, over the years, she has delivered countless emotional readings. But every once in a while, there's one that even leaves her speechless. It all started when Theresa was invited to a private gathering in New York. A woman named Lisa had been struggling with the sudden loss of her husband, Mark, who had died in a tragic accident. Although Lisa had always been skeptical of mediums, she decided to attend the reading after hearing how Theresa had changed lives. As soon as Lisa sat down, Theresa gasped. "He's here," she whispered, her hands trembling slightly. "Mark is showing me a ring. Did he give you a special piece of jewelry before he passed?" Lisa's eyes widened. Yes, the day before his accident, he surprised me with an anniversary ring. He never got to see me wear it. Theresa smiled. He sees it now. He's saying, I was with you when you put it on. Lisa burst into tears. But then, things took a turn that stunned everyone. Theresa suddenly clutched her chest, looking confused. He's telling me you found something after he passed. A letter? Lisa's face turned pale. Oh my God! I found a note hidden in his nightstand last week. It was an unfinished message, like he was writing something important. Theresa nodded, eyes glistening. He's saying he never got to finish it, but you already know what it said. He loves you, Lisa. He always has, and he always will. At this point, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Lisa later shared that the note began with "My love, no matter what happens," but was never completed. Theresa's reading gave her the closure she desperately needed. Theresa Caputo has always said that spirits find a way to communicate, and this reading was proof of that. It was a moment that left even her in awe, one of those rare readings where the message was undeniable. However, Theresa Caputo, the famous Long Island medium, has made multiple appearances on talk shows over the years, and one of the most memorable was when she read the audience on The Ellen DeGeneres Show. Theresa, known for her unique ability to connect with spirits, left the audience stunned as she delivered heartfelt and emotional messages from their deceased loved ones. When Theresa walked onto Ellen's stage, the audience was excited but unsure of what to expect. Dressed in her signature high heels and bold hairstyle, she quickly turned to the audience and said, "I'm already feeling a strong presence here." That's when the room fell silent, and people started looking around nervously, wondering who she was referring to. She pointed to a woman in the second row and asked, "Did you recently lose your father?" The woman gasped and nodded as tears welled up in her eyes. Theresa described a man standing beside her, mentioning details only the woman would know, like his favorite fishing spot and the special way he used to say goodbye. The audience was in awe. Another powerful moment came when she approached a man near the back and said, "I keep hearing the name Michael and something about a childhood toy." The man broke down, explaining that his late brother Michael had gifted him a stuffed bear when they were kids. Theresa smiled warmly and said, "He wants you to know he still has the bear with him on the other side." Even Ellen was speechless, watching as her audience experienced these raw, emotional connections. She later joked, "I hope no ghosts are following me home after this." The episode became one of the most talked about moments of the season, further proving Theresa's incredible gift. Hello lovely viewers, welcome to my channel. I am Mina, hope your day is so well. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe the channel.